Ives of Wedbush raising his Tesla price target to $515, writing, "We believe the Trump White House over the next 4 years will be a total game changer for the autonomous and AI story for Tesla and Musk over the coming years." Dan joins us now with quite a punchy price target. Dan, good morning. It's good to see you.
Great to be here.
Vijay Rakesh of Mizuho doing something similar this morning. He makes a different point, though, and I'd love your thoughts on this. He says the new administration's policies, repealing the consumer EV tax credit, positions Tesla better than lower EV cost structure relative to peers. How important is that piece of the puzzle?
Well, I think that's important because, again, negative for the EV industry, positive for Tesla in terms of the scale and scope. But if you look, as they sort of do the sweep the leg on the EV tax credits, that's just going to give Tesla more and more of an advantage. But let's just be clear, that's the appetizer. I mean, the main event here, what we are focused on, the gold at the end of the rainbow, it's autonomous, the AI future. And I think that's where the light bulbs went off, because if you look at the Trump-Musk bromance, and as this all plays out, this is really going to be, I think, it's a poker move that I think will really be the bet for the ages when you look at Musk's bet on Trump.
The vibes are good, and it's hard to fight against them. I just got a message from a Bloomberg subscriber. I won't mention their name. I believe you know the individual, and we can talk about that in the commercial break. And this is what they say. Tesla has increased since the election by something like $700 billion in market cap, now $1.5 trillion. The business is not growing and hasn't in 2 years. Despite the hopes for full self-driving, it still doesn't work. So less regulation doesn't help it work. It's up another GM in market cap this morning, or better, the market cap of Waymo, which actually has working robo-taxis. My prediction for 25 is Tesla will lose over $1 trillion in market cap. What would you say back to that individual?
I'd say if that person was an NFL scout, they're probably negative on Tom Brady, come out of the 2000 draft, come out of Michigan. I mean, the point is look, despite all the Super Bowls, look, if you look, the Bears, they can't see AI in the spreadsheets. So when they're sitting there in hibernation mode, they don't understand this move. Autonomous is worth $1 trillion valuation to the Tesla story, and I believe now, as this all plays out, it's really just the start. I continue to view this as probably the best pure AI play out there.
So I guess if you want to build on that, it might be that this person isn't looking necessarily at the same kind of $1 trillion addition to the market cap. But then if you spin that the other way, why isn't this promise also lifting the stocks of, say, GM, which, yes, got out of the possibility of robo-taxis on its homegrown turf, but is partnering with others to do the same thing and isn't being valued at all in that increase?
And I'd argue you look at Alphabet. I mean, Waymo, a big thing that we've talked about with Alphabet, the reason it's a table pounder, some of the parts, Waymo is going to be a huge benefit for them, too, when it comes to autonomous. But look, this is being led by Musk and Tesla. In the Mount Rushmore, they are going to continue to own this because you have 7 million vehicles out there going to 10 million. You look at GM in terms of the Cruise, that's a black eye situation. I ultimately think down the road, they could OEM technology from Tesla when it comes to autonomous and full self-driving. And that's why, you look at this beltway, the difference now is that Musk went from sort of the enemy to now he's going to have a game. It's a game changer relative to the federal regulatory landscape that I think Musk could help change.
Just to crystallize what you're talking about, some people say he invested $277 million in Donald Trump's campaign, and he gained his net worth $200 billion in the process. It seems like a pretty good financial trade. There is a larger question here about FSD, and this question of, are we better off with a market leader because of a status, not only just simply because of that technology? To the writer's point, there have been pitfalls in the full self-driving technology for Tesla. There have been accidents. There have been some real questions around whether it's ready to go. How much does it make the system more fragile to roll it out at a time where there is one entity with such favor? Yeah,
sure. And I think, again, this is going to be rolled out in a staged process. And our whole view is just, when you look at now the new landscape, it's going to give Tesla a much greener pasture when it comes to autonomous over the coming years. And I ultimately believe Cybercab, is that what we talk about robotaxi today? This is going to accelerate that vision and make it real. And Lisa, I think the other thing is that when you look at Optimus and you look at robotics, as we've talked about in the show, that's not even factored in from a valuation perspective. I continue to view overall, in this AI party, it was 9 p.m., but now it's 10 p.m. The
Getting
party,
closer.
the party goes to 4 a.m.
I'm usually in bed by then.
But party goes to 4 a.m. And
Just for
now,
the record.
behind those velvet ropes, now you let software in. Benioff, let him in. You have other software players coming in. Others are going to get on the party, but it just goes back to where I believe we are going in 2025.
All right, but to bring back up the point of the Debbie Downer viewer that's writing in about what you have to say, you're really talking about a vibe. But where is the technology right now? How much longer do we need to wait for this type of technology?
I think a year from now, we're talking about when it comes to autonomous and it comes to FSD, when you think about where we need to get the FSD penetration above 50%, I think a year from now, we'll be there. And I think a big blockade here has been the regulatory spiderweb in the Beltway. Look, as we always say,
the spiderweb won't matter if the technology is not there.
But I believe the technology has advanced significantly. If you look right now, if you look at V13, you look at what they've been able to do. But look, haters continue to hate.
Don't look at me.
No, look, and the point is like they hated 100 billion, right? Hated 500 billion, despise it $1 trillion. At $2 trillion, they'll be yelling from the mountaintops. But it goes back to just like in broader big tech, this AI revolution is here. It's a 1996 moment, but it's not a 1999 bubble moment. And Musk and Tesla are going to play a huge role in terms of what we see the autonomous.
There's another name I want to squeeze in before you go. You've talked about it a lot. Palantir. Why doesn't that get talked about more? The run it's seen so far in 2024.
It's the Messi of AI, right? I mean,
it's up 350% this
But
year.
I believe to me, it could be ultimately the next Oracle, the next Microsoft. And that's why, look, the haters, they hate it as a teenager, despise it as a senior citizen living in Delray Beach. So that they hate it at 13, despise it at 75. But I believe it's just the start of when it comes to AI revolution, this is the best use case. Carp is up there in that Mount Rushmore, along with Godfather of AI, Jensen, NVIDIA, Nadella, and others.
What's Carp doing right?
Carp understands, I think, AI use cases. The algorithms they built are unique. And there's no other, I think, there's ultimately AIP, there's no other software that matches them. And I think Palantir has one institutionally been shunned. Retail clearly has been, I think, a bit ahead. Just starting in terms of our view of the broader Palantir story. But as I always say, the bears, they can find AI in the spreadsheets when they're in hibernation mode.